Good afternoon. Welcome to today's Wealth360 demo. I'm delighted to be able to present to you the solution that we've been developing at Fluido. First of all, just introduce myself. I'm Duncan Muir. I'm the industry lead financial services for Fluido across Europe and also sales manager in the UK, predominantly focusing on financial services. Worked in this sector for over 20 years, 15 of which were very focused on the advisor market, supporting through platforms, but also developing propositions to help advisory businesses evolve key processes around provider selection, due diligence, asset migration, and research tools. And trying to now, use my experience of this market to shape a solution that can support advisory market powered by Salesforce, which is what Fluido are focused on, and I'll come on to that in just a second. If I can ask Alan just to introduce himself as well.
Yeah, hi everyone, Alan Simpson. Pleased to get this opportunity to present today. So I'm a business consultant at Fluido, been in the company about 7 months. But like Duncan, I've got over 20 years in financial services, primarily with Standard Life and then Aberdeen. I had a sharp focus with voice to the customer and working with advisors and wealth managers on improved customer experiences through the use of technology, and also worked with operations teams about that interaction between the advisor and servicing. So very experienced in this sector.
Great, thanks Alan.
Okay.
So just to first of all introduce Fluido. So Fluido are a summit partner of Salesforce, Salesforce being the global leading CRM solution in the market. Fluido established a business predominantly in the Nordics initially, and over the last few years have extended out into other growth territories, including the UK. Our focus is solely on Salesforce consulting, implementation and development. So we are able to utilize in-depth Salesforce knowledge to build solutions that can support market needs, key challenges or opportunities that exist within specific business types and different markets. And obviously from our perspective, from Alan and myself, financial services market, but in particular the advice market is of real interest to us, as we do feel there's opportunities to gain more benefit from a solution that's built upon the Salesforce platform. We're a very customer-driven business. We have a proven track record of high-quality delivery across hundreds of projects within Fluido, but actually wider than that, we're also part of the Emphasis Group, global IT business. And so we have the bandwidth and scale to support any size of project. From very small businesses right through to global organizations, and we use that experience and knowledge to inform our approaches and propositions and consultancy with clients of all sizes. We're recognized by Salesforce as a leading Salesforce partner. So as I mentioned, we're a summit partner, which means that based on our credentials and accreditations, we're in the top 2% globally. Fluido are an authorized training partner, so Salesforce trusts us to train their clients on the use of the solutions that are available. And we have a number of people from within our business who are part of the Salesforce advisory board. So one of a dozen seats on each table against different solutions, sales, service, marketing, etc., where we input client needs, challenges, gaps, opportunities into Salesforce to help with their ongoing product and proposition development. So we're very pleased to be part of 6 of those boards globally. In terms of our services that we offer, we focus on customer-centric solution design, so building out processes enabled by technology to support high levels of customer experience, user experience, and business efficiency. We also provide business process consulting to ensure that those processes are optimized through technology to drive the best value out of the solutions that are in place. And of course, we get our hands on the tools and we build out the capabilities to support the configuration and development of that platform, but also manage other aspects around data and integration. And finally, we also provide ongoing support services, which are more than just an IT help desk. They're actually focused on ensuring your technology is as relevant and up to date as possible, is leveraging the latest releases and functionalities, but also helping to drive an ongoing release schedule that ensures that your business and your needs are met very quickly. And the power of Salesforce as a cloud-based software as a service solution means that the core platform is already built, and what we're doing is adapting it to suit the needs of the market. So our time to market can be very quick, and our ability to make change can literally be managed in seconds in some cases, depending on the request. And obviously, but regardless, very quickly, we can adapt the capabilities to suit the changing needs of the business, depending on different dynamics that come about. As I mentioned, we're part of a wider organization, so across the globe we have a significant amount of Salesforce talent across all major geographies, thousands of consultants and certified specialists, supported thousands of projects, but we have a very high level CSAT score within that scale, so 4.9 from 5 is a number we're very proud of, and we continue to ensure we maintain. And we are required to evidence that type of metric into Salesforce to retain our Summit Partner status, which is really important to us as well. So you are working with some of the best talents out there in the market. In terms of the Wealth360 proposition itself, the whole premise behind this has been, I guess, built up from my experience of working in the advisory market. And I appreciate I don't work in an advisor business, but having observed many business practices and processes, technology that's in place, integrations that are in a very sort of mixed state, etc. It's been a real passion of mine to find a way to move things forward and help the market evolve and innovate and utilize best of breed technology. And through the power of the Salesforce platform and financial services cloud primarily, which has been developed to support the financial services market, I'm really keen to make sure we can leverage that capability and support the market develop. And that drives a number of really positive outcomes around operational excellence, so enhancing the processes and practices that exist in delivering financial planning and financial advice, to reduce the number of manual interventions, requirements to rekey information, to hand off details to other parties, and to actually manage that within a singular console, which is really core of what a Salesforce-based platform can offer and our Wealth360 will offer. That in itself will enable business growth in that it will aim to drive additional capacity into the business by making you more effective and efficient and enhancing overall user experience. It allows you to grow in a positive way that drives better outcomes for the business overall, but also enhances the user and end client experience. We'll cover that in the demo in a second. Clearly, there are governance, risk, and compliance required to be managed, as does ongoing regulatory change. And with that in mind, we're very conscious of consumer duty and the needs that need to be delivered against that in terms of value and outcome. And again, we'll touch on that in a second, some of the capabilities that we offer here to support that. And where appropriate, if the business strategy is to become sale ready, and in general terms, I guess it's good practice to work on that basis to optimize the business in every form. And we want to be able to support businesses do that and have a growth plan that supports that outcome or just the ongoing success of the business overall. In terms of just a bit of context around some of this, I asked to sponsor some research with NextWealth, so Heather Hopkins and team, to gain just some more sort of factual, detailed information around the reality of working and running an advice business. And some of these sort of key sort of figures and stats that came out of it were quite interesting and quite concerning in some respects as well. And it's sort of driven and fueled our ambition to drive this proposition forward. So quite a significant amount of time spent on a monthly basis managing manual activities, actions, tasks, collating information, etc. And I'm confident we can significantly reduce that time, and probably more so further time, by utilising some of the capabilities we're going to show today. The integrations sort of landscape is very mixed. There's a real challenge in the market in general around the end-to-end two-way integration, all aspects of a technology and business process being connected. And again, we have solutions here that we think we can significantly help with that. But as you can see from that graphic in the centre, figure 2, there's quite a mixed bag in terms of how integrations operate and to what extent they support efficient business management, efficient delivery of client service, and just running your tech overall. And finally, just regarding sort of current and future methods of communication, you can see quite starkly the increase in need for client portals, or the demand for those. And what we've found in our market research is that there are many portals out there, many of which are largely presenting data in graphical form. They're not really enabling interaction and triggering action, tasks, etc. And again, through the capabilities we can offer through our proposition, we can significantly enhance the ways in which clients interact with their overall portfolio and their financial plan, but also the day-to-day interactions that need to take place, and try to reduce some of the load within the advisory business to make the practice more efficient and focus on the real value add activities, as well as potentially streamline some of the hands-on elements of the advice process end to end. As I mentioned, consumer duty, I'm sure you'll all be very familiar with the detail here, but what we are focused on here is trying to support the evidence of fair value outcomes and communication in client engagement. And it's easy to say that clearly, but what we can offer, and this is sort of bread and butter for a Salesforce type solution, is that we're able to create a much more coherent view of your client, understand all the interactions and touch points that take place with that relationship, and be able to support the change in the way that the FCA will look to see that evidence. So it's not a tell me how you do it, it's a show me now. And the capabilities we can offer is supports that in terms of being able to evidence very clearly through dashboards, reportings, and a very clear and transparent audit trail around how all those interactions have taken place to support you meet the needs of consumer duty. An element of guesswork around that, because as we all appreciate, the FCA aren't necessarily always 100% clear as to the exact requirements that are needed to be delivered against, but we're making some educated guesses and assumptions that we can deliver the right outcomes to support your business going forward. At a very high level, clearly, this diagram shows the structure of what we're trying to develop here, and Alan will go into a detailed demo in a second. Primarily focused on the Wealth360 Advisor Portal and the Client Experience Portal. That Wealth360 portal is built on Financial Services Cloud. So as I mentioned, is an industry-led solution which has been created by Salesforce, and we're adapting it to suit the UK market and the UK advice market in particular. Which means we can leverage a lot of established capabilities and repoint it to support the needs of businesses that you operate. Key to that will be how we fuel the proposition with data. And so we're in active conversations with a number of data aggregators around how can we access information pertaining to the underlying holdings that sit within providers for each of your clients. And we want to try and spread that as widely as possible to enable, again, complete 360 view of the customer, to enable conversations around short and long-term financial planning, and ensure that you have accurate, up-to-date and relevant, timely information available at your fingertips. A lot of that information can also be presented through a Client Experience Portal, which isn't just presenting data in a graphical form. It actually enables interaction to take place between advisor business and the client without having to go off the platform itself. To the left, there's planning tools reference here, so integration to these is going to be key, and we're in discussions with a number of planning tool providers around solutions which support those areas that are listed in the box to the left, and using MuleSoft, which is the M in the middle, which is an integration platform to ensure that that two-way integration is as slick as it can be, and leveraging, again, market-leading technology. And to the right-hand side, likely to be further down the line in terms of our delivery, is how can we also then leverage capabilities that integrate very well with Salesforce-based solutions to help you with running your business. So practice management, management of your people, payroll, financial aspects of your business, as well as document management and marketing. But the core that we're going to show you today is predominantly focused on Wealth360 Advisor Portal and the Client Experience Portal, which Alan will come on to in a second. So Alan will now go into a demo to summarise and to highlight some of the key features of the solution that we've been developing. We would welcome any questions that you have. Please use the question functionality in your panel, and we'll pick those up as they come in. So Alan, over to you. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Duncan. Hopefully the screen has changed somewhat, and you can now see what we can know as a dashboard or a home page on the system that we've built. A couple of caveats that normally apply to demonstrations. This is test data and a test environment. Should you be interested in a live system, the look and feel and branding of the system is something that obviously can be worked on and developed, but the purpose of the demonstration is to show you some of the core functionality of the system. So as I've mentioned, your landing page can be shown as your dashboard. One thing to mention is that the data that's shown on this page can be layered from the purpose of different access levels. So obviously you would have your business owner that would want to see all the data and business flows and opportunities for all of the business and all of advisors that are linked to that business. It could be bespoke, so you could just be the advisor that's logging in, and you would see the clients that are linked to your own agency code and that you're permissioned to see. And then we have user personas such as power planners and administrators, office managers, and again, these can be looked at and tweaked depending on the roles and responsibilities that sit within advisor practices, because we know these can change from business to business. Most of this is information that you would expect to see, but there are variances in how it can be shown. We've just put in some examples of the sort of information that you would want to see. Performance, that might be monthly performance, yearly performance. Summary of products by balance is clearly something that you would want to see. And again, I reiterate that this can be for the entire business or just for your own new business flows and landed business. So we've built some test products, which are your standard sort of UK derivatives. So, SIP and personal pension is your pension products. You would expect to see cash ISA, stocks and shares ISA, general investment account, which is also known as personal portfolio on some platforms, and then also other sections such as bank accounts and savings accounts. But you'll see that in some more detail as we go through the system. As you would expect, there are different views, and I'll show you how these can be changed. But there's charges information as well. Now, Duncan has reiterated around consumer duty, so there'll be a common theme that runs through this, that there will be certain information that will be expected and continue to be expected by existing FCA returns, but also some of the new consumer duty information. So we know that, the sort of evidence of charges is something that is important to current advisor practices. So we just built some examples that show that here. And then you'll see some other consumer duty led information as we go through the demonstration. So as I show you here, I'll just hover over a particular example, and you can see that there's some money that's held in SIP products. So you can click on those sections, and then as you would expect, you can then see a drill down version of that particular report. So this will show you all the clients that hold pension investments within a SIP environment. You can see service provider information and then performance information. And as I've said, this type of data will be populated. Duncan and I are, as he said, looking at data aggregation solutions in order to sort of deliver that in the most efficient and effective way. If we go back to the front system, again, you can view the entire report. So instead of just viewing pension products, you can now see all the products and all the clients that hold investments on your particular system. So here you can see all the clients on the left-hand side that hold different types of investment products. So one client might have a pension, savings account, mortgages. This particular client has many more. And as I said, you've got lots of useful information that's there when the system is last updated, typical balances, who the service provider is, and again, performance information. But please bear in mind that the information that's on there can be changed depending on what it is that you want to see. There will be a core version of information that we'd expect that you want, but within a typical business practice, you might want to see other data. So the way Salesforce works is if there is a data point for some particular information, it can be reported and shown on screen. It's as simple as that. But the good news is that it can be changed depending on your requirements. So that's your sort of dashboard from the data perspective. On the right-hand side is where you really start seeing the power of Financial Services Cloud and bringing to life some of the information that Duncan's talked about. So we have information around tasks, opportunities, and events. And in a real environment, these will be live. So when you log into the system, you'll see any tasks that have been allocated to you, due for that day, for example, or past the cutoff period. You can see any deals and opportunities. So these could be new business opportunities. These could be changing a client from one service proposition to another. But the key is that they're live and somebody could have allocated to them. You can look these up and you can allocate them to other users within your business as well. So typically within open tasks, you can view these. If I just want to look at one particular task that I have, you can view that task. You could edit the comments within that task if that was something that you wanted to do. So again, we just built this in a basic functional format at the moment, but those tasks notes could be saved. You could mark that option as complete, or you could allocate that task to another individual if that was something that you wanted to do. And that's sort of one of the key elements of the Salesforce system. If you look at the key opportunities as an example, you can see here where we've got opportunities. So we've just put in some demo examples where you've got a client who's changing from a silver to a platinum service. You've got a client who's looking at a new business opportunity, for example. So again, these can be viewed independently. So if I click on one example, here you have a client who has a task and an opportunity where they're changing from a silver to a platinum service. Now the part at the top is known as different things. Some people call them snake lines or chevrons, but effectively it gives you a progress of where that particular opportunity or task is up to. So you can see here that the template that we've built for this has an assessment that's needed. So that would be your fact find. You're saying, right, okay, we're going to change this particular client. Why? What are the reasons? And obviously you would need to have all those noted down to remain compliant. Develop a proposal, which would be the next step. Present that to the client, and then initiate any transfers or investment changes that were potentially required as part of that proposition, or just change the the proposition and the charging model. And then underneath you can see all the tasks and updates and any activities that have happened on that particular service. Again, you can go into any of these, you can change them, you can review them, you can check who's done what, because you could have an administrator that's done something for this particular action. You could have an office manager, paraplanner, whoever it may be, and you can go and review any of those at any time. And that is one of the key deliverables of Financial Services Cloud. And you could then take that on to the next level to say, right, okay, I'm now going to develop that proposal and effectively update and save that status. So the next person that comes in will see that this is the develop proposal stage. Or you could move it to the client presentation, and you could then allocate that particular opportunity to the advisor, because it might be the advisor that's going to carry out that presentation to the client. So the next time the advisor logs into their dashboard, they will see this opportunity flag up on their system that they've got a client presentation due. They can come in and see this view and see all the underlying information pertaining to that particular option. You also have events that will link to your calendar. So if I click on View Calendar, we just set up a couple of events. So whether, depending on whatever calendar option that you use, these will also pull through. So if you have client meetings due, or if you have a particular action that you want to take, so sending a letter or a quote to a client, those will pull through to your dashboard. And as I say, it's dynamic, so it'll feed through, it'll be updated. And if anything passes through a particular timeline, it will be flagged with a red flag there, as you can see. So it's something that, you know, has overrun a particular date and needs some action. So you could allocate it to someone within the office, or you could look to, you know, deal with that if it was something that you should be looking at. So even just you looking at this dashboard, there's a lot of information that can be pertained in there, and a lot of useful dynamic information on your tasks, opportunities, and events. So you'd expect to be able to see individual accounts. So of course we have built that as well. So if you now look at an individual account, this again is where we've tried to deliver on areas where we've seen opportunities to help advisors deliver on consumer duty, and also areas that we've identified as important. So vulnerable client is something that's becoming very prevalent in all the conversations on LinkedIn and financial press. So we built in a life event timeline, and this is cradle to grave, or it can be, because you can bespoke it. So when the client was born to, unfortunately, when the client passes away, or the life cycle of when that client is under your agency, you can build in different life events that are important to that client. So we've just put in different examples here of a graduation, they've opened a bank account, their house move, they want to replace their car, which could be a one-off event, or typically a client might want to replace their car every 4 years, or an ISA investment. So this would be one that would be a recurring life event that would probably happen at the start of each year, giving you some time in order to make that investment prior to tax year end. So there would be tasks and opportunities that would be relevant to that particular life event. And you can come in and you can look at any of these, and you could create an action plan. So what is it I need to do? So that would look like exactly the previous screen, where you would have your chevrons at the top, and that action plan would be speak to the client about the ISA opportunity, develop a proposal, are they going into the same investments? And that can all be built in, and again will appear on your dashboard. And the reason we mention vulnerable client is that when you have these life events and goals set up, if anything happens that maybe is a change in the sort of actions that the clients may be taking, or the pattern of what they normally do, you'll be able to generate a report that will show that. And we're currently looking at, there's some solutions in the market which sort of grade clients with resilience scores, which would then put them on a vulnerability chart. And then you could sort of look at the actions and activities that a client takes. And if there's a change in the pattern, then this is the sort of data that would help you identify that and bring that sort of really important situation to the front and out front of your mind. So you've got your details, which is typically your name and address and NI numbers, all that sort of client detail. Got your financial accounts. So this goes back to Duncan's point about our conversations with data aggregators, where we're looking at trying to come up with the most efficient and effective way of pulling through clients' information. So we've just built some typical information on here, as you would expect to see, which is a client has a ISA holding and a pension holding, and then some basic information. So investments at fund level, how much does that pertain current market value as a percentage of your overall holding? Have they gone up or down? in value, and then the actual current price. And we're looking to meet industry standard and have those sort of updated on, I think it's typically on a daily basis. And then you've got additional information as well, which is maybe bank accounts that the client has if they want to have that information on there to giving you that true holistic view. And then assets and liabilities, which is giving you again that holistic view where not only are you looking at a client's investments, but also some liabilities, which could be mortgages, loans, car loans, house loans, that sort of thing. And then you have a bit of a repeat on the right hand side, but then this is just for this client. So you've had all your tasks, activities and opportunities at a dashboard level for all your clients, but now you're in a particular client view. You'll have all your sort of timeline of any tasks and activities that are actually relevant to only that client. And you can see examples here where I'm sending letters to clients. I have a meeting with a client. So again, that goes back to linking to your calendar. And it's really giving you that true picture and life cycle of interactions with the client. And why is that important? Well, what we've done here is created what's called a roll-up of that sort of information, which is about client interactions. And again, we believe that is important from a consumer duty point of view, that there's an emphasis on how many times have you seen a client, how many times have you touched a client, what was that interaction? Was it face-to-face? Was it an email? Was it a letter? The good thing is with Salesforce and Financial Services Cloud, anything that's recorded on the system can be reported on effectively. So we built just an example of what an activity roll-up would look like. Tasks and opportunities and different interactions with a client can all be reported on there. And of course, you've got an option to view that report, which would then give you a breakdown of exactly what those interactions are. And again, you could produce a report on that. And then again, one of the beauties of the system is how easy it is to bespoke views and change things. So we're aware, especially sort of Duncan and I, that the history that we've had, that the way that some platforms and technical data systems operate is that if you want to make a change to something, you have to raise a service request, and then that then goes to said provider, and that will have to sit in a queue, and then you're kind of waiting for that change to happen. But there's quite a lot of the data that's surfaced on Financial Services Cloud that you can change yourself, and it happens immediately. So for example, we've got a graphical display here of financial holdings that the client has, but it's just put in a nice chart, but I might not like that. So I can not only edit sort of some of the information that sits within that, just need to move this slightly. There we go. But you can actually view the entire report, and it might be that, you know, well, I don't actually like the way this is viewed. So what I can do, I could actually say, right, okay, well, I don't like the way that that's viewed. I don't like the way that information surfaced. So I could change the way it looks. So if I prefer that particular option, then I can scroll down. I can save that information, and then the next time that I go in to see that client, that will then be the view that is saved on that particular client's record. So had I saved that change, that would then be your stack chart that would appear on there. And it happens in real time. And we believe that some of this is a real game changer, because we know that some of that can be frustrations for users of these types of systems. Then you have relationships, which are on here. So again, this is quite unique to Financial Services Cloud. So it's almost like a family tree, if you will, the way to view this. So it gives you a nice display of any clients that are related to one another. They could also be professional connections. So it could be, you know, solicitors or family accountants, and you just want them, their name and address and information registered on there, but it could also be related accounts, and you could get a quick link to those accounts. It could be cousins or family members. You've got a quick link, and it helps you with family planning. And on the live system, there's a reporting functionality that can bring all that family wealth to life in a really clever view that allows you to see family investments that you're looking after all in one place, and allows you to make sure that you're using the most investing for that family in the most effective way. There might be some tax planning required or moving some investments around, and this gives you a real quick way to do that, which is real smart reporting. Then you've just got some other information that drills down to that. So who are the related accounts and who are the related contacts within that particular family. Then you have goals, as you would expect. You would set goals throughout the life cycle for a client, any goals that they wish to achieve during their time with you as a client. So typical examples again, ISA top-ups, managing IHT, and a new home. So again, you would click on those to see the similar views that you've seen, all the tasks and activities and templates that you can set up in order to meet those goals for the client, which then will roll up to your dashboard and give you all those updates that I've already referred to. Under related, this is a bit of a catch-all for any additional information that you might want to do. It kind of pulls everything together. So some outstanding opportunities, repeating your client goals, any action plans you have set up, any outstanding cases, which could be new business opportunities, for example, which is obviously going to be key for you guys to get signed up. And then notes and opportunity and attachments, which can be documentation. So if you wish to store some documentation on here, there might be some templates. So for example, an ISA top-up letter might be relevant for a client because they're wanting to go back to do that ISA top-up each year. You can have that document on here, and it's really easy to email it out to the client and get that sent out to the client. So I've just referred to email, and this goes back to the live environment in which Financial Services Cloud exists within. So you've got an activity board on the right-hand side of any client. You can see activities and tasks. So you could create a new event, you could create a new task, you could allocate it to somebody in the office, but you can also email. So I did want to email that document to the client. You don't have to go to your email and do it. You can link to your email through Financial Services Cloud, and you could attach a document and you could send that out to the client all in one place without having to switch around. So it's coming down to sort of trying to make your processes as effective, as efficient as possible. All the information that you see held, as I say, can be reported on. You'll see some tabs across the top, and this is just what we call a top roll-up of data. And all that means is that if you're looking at opportunities for different clients or contacts within different accounts, all of that information could be seen in its entirety at any time. So if I click on contacts, that's the client that I've just looked at. But if I want to look at all contacts, all the clients that you're permissioned for and all the contacts that sit within that can be seen really easily. And that's the same for financial goals, it's the same for opportunities, and it's the same for any other information that can be set at the top level. And you can get a list of all of that in one place, and you can just use this to click on individual clients as well, if that is how you wish to use the system. So that is a quick tour of Financial Services Cloud. Just to bring to life Duncan and ourselves, we mentioned Experience Cloud. So Experience Cloud is what you would know as a client portal. And one of the differences that we're obviously identified and worked upon is that there's a limitation to most of the client portals that are used currently, and that is that they will only report on the assets and investments that are held within said service provider. So if you use a particular service provider in its entirety, then you might not suffer that issue as much. But the reality is, in the research that we've done, it's unlikely that clients have all their assets held in one place. So because you're reporting all client assets irrespective of service providers and bank accounts, etc., our client portal will surface and report on all of that information. So when a client gets access to this, they're seeing everything. And we believe that that can be a bit of a game changer and move it forward. Now, again, this is just a base view that we've built just to show what it could look like. Again, the branding and the appearance of this and how it would look would evolve if you moved into that live environment, but you would expect to see portfolio, goals and communications. We just expected that as three sort of typical examples. So client's portfolio can be viewed, and this is just pulling information from Financial Service Cloud, anything that would be relevant. So individual investments, what products do I have, and then an overall quick breakdown. Client goals, they might want to give that information to the client just to make sure that they're happy with the goals that have been agreed and any information that's pertaining to those. And then communications. So one of the parts that sort of really bring this to life and is, again, is a bit of a game changer, that within the live environment, a client can communicate with you as the advisor or someone in the office through this portal. So if they wanted to, for example, typical examples could be arrange a meeting or could be to request a piece of documentation, they could send that request through Experience Cloud instead of having to pick the phone up. So it might reduce a bit of failure demand or phone demand. They can do that electronically. And then you could produce that piece of communication. So whether you send it through Financial Services Cloud or you load it onto their Experience Cloud, that the next time they come in to see that piece of communication, that will be loaded up onto their portal. So here they can see all the interactions that they've had, which is obviously going to comfort the client because there's a record of everything that's happened within that client. But again, on the live system, there'll be links where they could create communications and interactions with you as the financial advisor, whether that's with the administrator or anyone else that they're permission to see, including financial advisors. So I'll take a breath and stop there. And potentially stop sharing my screen, I think. And hopefully you've enjoyed that session. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Alan.
Good. Okay.
Thanks for the demo. We have had a few questions come through. So I'm just going to jump those up. So hello, John. Nice to hear from you. So John Tate has got a couple of questions in here. So how would data be pulled in from existing back office like IO, or is the assumption Salesforce replaces the back office as a source of client data? So to answer that, we are in the process of reviewing exactly what back offices fulfill and support an advisory business. And my belief is that the vast majority of capabilities that the back office provide today can be supported by this proposition. In terms of getting data across from existing solutions into the Wealth360 solution, that can be relatively simple. There's a data loader solution that sits within Salesforce, which allows an administrator to take a large amount of data in Excel or CSV form and load that directly in and create those records, instantaneously. So we're working through the data migration requirements. We recognise that's a key aspect. But in terms of the capabilities we think are on offer here, our aim is to look to provide a replacement to current back office provision and run it on that basis. Second question from, well, in fact, I'll jump to the third question from John first. So are you getting open banking data feeds to get non-investment product information and Expedient link to provide these of all existing loans and mortgages? So my aspiration here is to get access to as broad a range of data as possible to support true holistic financial planning for that customer. And one of the parties we're speaking to has coverage across over 200 financial institutions, covering banking, savings, investments, pensions, but also credit cards, loans, mortgages. So we can get a true full view of the customer's holdings, subject to client permissioning access to that for the advisor, which will enable then analysis of month-to-month expenditure, disposable income that could be repurposed, reinvested into other solutions, as well as managing any credit, etc., that exists, and ensure that those financial plans are as comprehensive as possible. I'm in advanced conversations with the party that supports that information, and which includes then the premise around open banking, but actually starts open up into open finance, which is the next stage. And last question from John was around MI. What thoughts do you have on what MI can be reported or collected to evidence good customer outcomes rather than just asset and product holdings? So yeah, great question. Obviously, we are hoping to get more clarity from the FCA around the consumer duty reporting requirements, which is yet to come to fruition. But as Alan's alluded to and I've covered as well, any data item that sits within a client record or any record in Salesforce can be reported on and can be presented in dashboard form. So if we're thinking about, I guess, the 4 key outcomes of consumer duty against products and services, so you'll be able to report on client segments and what solutions they have in place. Does their investment profile match their risk attitude against the segment and the service provision that supports that? So that could all be reported upon. In terms of the price value piece, the charges that pertain to that client based on the level of holdings, the interactions that take place, and to support that relationship. So as Alan's highlighted, it's all those touch points that take place around supporting the client relationship. Are you actively engaging, actively supporting that client? Have they got direct and immediate access to people in the business to drive the right levels of engagement, understanding, and outcomes? And then from a consumer support perspective, again, able to very clearly demonstrate how you've taken steps to engage with that customer and support. All of that information can be captured within Salesforce. We can configure fields to support any of those processes or any of those activities. And if it's captured, it can be reported on in terms of the volumes, the pace of interaction, the frequency of conversation, whether that's face-to-face, whether that's remote, etc. All of that can be reported on, and we're building out an outline as to what we think would be the right starting point for some of that reporting. But actually, I don't sound too preachy, but MI shows what's happened and how you have supported or have you've achieved an outcome. So how can we start to use that to help the business, take action, predict what could happen, or to take, proactive action to support clients ending up in the wrong outcome or with a poor outcome. And so that sort of protection piece is in place and driven through some of the outputs that can be derived through the dashboards and so on. We've not gone into an area of advanced analytics and AI and so on, but that capability is available to us. So we're trying to just make sure we land the right solutions at this stage to enable the business to get better understanding more broadly of the business, the customer base, the activities that support those relationships, and the outcomes that are derived. But yeah, any information within Salesforce can be reported on through dashboards, tabular form, and so on, and very open to discussing what those needs might be going forward. So hopefully, John, that's answered your questions. Thanks for asking those. And I guess just a thank you from myself and Alan for joining us today. Really appreciate. Another question from Jeff White. This seems to be to a large extent to be duplicating what my back office system already does. Why would I want to go through the pain of moving everything over to Fluido from my existing provider? Fair question, Jeff, and a fair challenge. I think what we're trying to do here is to help drive alternative solutions and what we believe to be an enhanced solution compared to the existing provider base that are out there. We spent time at the Festival Financial Planning, PFS conference in the early November, and a range of feedback from the advisor practices that we spoke to in terms of some of the challenges and frustrations around some of the technology that exists in place today, limitations around certain areas, but also an appetite to move forward with alternative solutions. One of the key pieces for us is that we feel we can enable more efficiency within the business and a more connected experience for both the advisory firm and the end client, but also that a large amount of the frustration that exists in the market is down to a lack of feeling of control and in terms of control of your own destiny, very reliant on these providers to evolve the capabilities. Within a solution like Salesforce, depending on the requirement that was asked for, I could literally go and change a field right now and it'd be done right now across all your client records. I can make these changes extremely quickly, and so we can be much more nimble to support your future needs on an ongoing basis. So yes, there would typically be a level of pain. We would look to try and make that as seamless as possible, and there's solutions in there that can make that happen. there is some duplication, but there's also, I think, added benefits through some of the CRM levels of capability within this proposition that enhance that levels of the ability to engage proactively and actively with clients to support the particular outcomes around consumer understanding and consumer support. So thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate taking the time out to hear from us. Our focus is completely on building a solution for advisor firms developed by advisor firms. So Alan and I have been speaking to parties across the market for the last while here, and we're looking to ensure that we can enhance the solution. We're looking to ensure we can deliver a solution that meets the needs of the market, and we want your input to that. I'm sorry, I've just seen another question coming from Jeff. Is there going to be a basic cost and then add-ons if you want the cash flow planning or CGT, etc.? So we're just defining exactly how that's going to operate in terms of third-party solutions and tools, etc. We will build the integration platform, allowing access to integrate to the main parties that provide various planning tools. So your current costs and contracts that exist with those current providers around cash flow, CGT, and so on would remain, but we'll build the integration capabilities, and that'll be part of the proposition to ensure that data can flow back and forward between those tools and the Wealth360 solution, and vice versa. So look, the call out here is, please contact us if you'd like to hear more and to get involved and to help further shape this proposition. We're not hiding the fact that this is still a conceptual design we're building out, but we're building it at a rapid pace. So we had the session, or had time at the PFS conference. We spoke to hundreds of advisory firms and demonstrated some of the capability to learn and to understand what needs are, what challenges are existing, and what opportunities there may be to move forward with this. So we're really keen to get as much input as possible from the people who are going to potentially use this solution or are working in this space on a day-to-day basis. We want this to be a value-add solution, and we don't want to build it in a bubble. A recording will be issued to you. Please feel free to spread that across different people within your business, and again, if they were keen to get involved, and be delighted to hear from you to move this further forward. We're continuing to build out the capabilities. We're continuing to progress our conversations, and we're hoping to have a proposition available in the start of Q2 time. So on that note, thanks again. Appreciate your time and look forward to speaking to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.